Jake Morrison stood at the window of the big alien ship and looked out at the stars. He had never seen so many bright lights in space before. The ship was huge, bigger than any building back on Earth. The aliens called it the Celestial Harmony, and it was where humans would meet aliens for the first time. "Are you ready for this?" asked Amy Rodriguez. She was standing next to Jake, wearing her best uniform. Amy was a good soldier, and Jake trusted her completely. "As ready as anyone can." "Be," Jake said. He was the captain of the human team. 3 humans were here to represent all of Earth. Jake, Amy, and Ben Carter had trained for months for this moment. Ben walked over to them. He was a big man who could fix anything. "The aliens want to start the meeting soon," he said. "Dr. Brooks is already in the meeting room, checking her equipment." Jake nodded. Dr. Helen Brooks was their scientist. She brought samples and tools to show the aliens what humans were like. Everything had to go perfectly today. The meeting room was amazing. It was round and very large, with a ceiling that showed the stars above. 12 different types of aliens sat around the room. Jake had studied pictures of them, but seeing them in person was different. The Zephyrians were tall and thin. Their skin was almost clear, like glass. They could change colors when they talked. The leader, Elder Zefka, glowed with soft blue light. The Korathi were small and looked like lizards that walked on 2 legs. They had big eyes and moved very quickly. Their scientist, Dr. Kisk-92, kept taking notes on a small device. The Vorthik were the strangest. They looked like living crystals and made musical sounds when they talked. The sounds were beautiful, like singing. There were other aliens too. Some looked like big insects. Others were covered in fur. Some floated in the air instead of walking. Jake tried not to stare, but it was hard not to look. "Welcome, humans from Earth," said Elder Zefka. The alien's voice was like music. "We are happy to meet you at last." Jake stepped forward. "Thank you for inviting us. We come in peace and friendship." The meeting started well. The aliens asked questions about Earth. They wanted to know about human culture, human food, and human cities. Dr. Brooks showed them pictures and videos. The aliens seemed interested and friendly. "Now," said Dr. Brooks, "I would like to show you some human tools." She opened a case and took out different items. She showed them a hammer, a screwdriver, and other simple tools. "This is a survival knife," she said, holding up a basic knife with a black handle. "Humans use these for camping and outdoor activities." The Korathi scientist, Dr. Kisk-92, leaned forward to get a better look. "May I examine it?" he asked. "Of course," Dr. Brooks said. She handed the knife to the small alien. Dr. Kisk-92 held the knife carefully. His big eyes looked at every part of it. But as he turned it over, his small hands hit something on the wall behind him. Suddenly, red lights flashed everywhere. A loud alarm started ringing. The room's door slammed shut with a heavy metal sound. "Emergency containment protocol activated," said a computer voice. "All personnel remain in position." The gravity in the room turned off. Everyone started floating. Some aliens began screaming. Others looked confused and scared. Then things got worse. A hissing sound came from the walls. Green gas started coming out of the air vents. "The air system is broken," shouted Ben. "That gas is poison." The aliens panicked. The Zephyrian skin turned bright red with fear. The Korathi started running around the room, but they couldn't run on the walls or ceiling. The Vorthik made terrible sounds, not like music anymore. Elder Zefka was floating near the ceiling, trying to reach a communication panel. "Help us," he called. "We cannot reach the controls." Jake looked around the room. 47 aliens were in danger. The poison gas was getting thicker. Some aliens were already having trouble breathing. "We have to do something," Amy said. She was floating near Jake, trying to stay calm. "The emergency controls are behind that wall," Ben said, pointing to a thick metal barrier. "But it's too strong. We can't break through." Jake looked at the knife still floating near Dr. Kisk 9-2. The small alien looked scared and sorry. "It's not your fault," Jake told him. Then he grabbed the knife. "What are you doing?" asked Dr. Brooks. "What I have to do," Jake said. Jake pushed himself toward the wall where the safety barrier was. The barrier was made of some kind of super-strong metal. It was supposed to be impossible to cut or break. Jake didn't care. He started cutting with the knife. The aliens watched in shock. The knife cut through the metal like it was soft cheese. Jake's hands moved fast and sure. In less than 2 minutes, he had cut a hole big enough to reach through. Amy was already helping the aliens who couldn't breathe. She tore off part of her uniform and made a filter. She put it over the face of a small furry alien and helped it breathe cleaner air. "Here," she said to other aliens, "cover your faces like this." She showed them how to protect themselves from the gas. Ben was doing something even more impossible. He floated over to a section of the wall where the emergency controls were hidden. The wall was thick titanium steel, stronger than anything on Earth. Ben pulled back his fist and punched the wall. The metal cracked. Ben punched again and again. His knuckles were bleeding, but he kept hitting the wall. On the 5th punch, the wall broke open. "Got it," Ben said. He reached inside and found the emergency shut-off switch. The poison gas stopped flowing. The gravity came back on. The doors opened. Fresh air rushed into the room. The aliens who had been choking started breathing normally again. The red lights stopped flashing. It was over. 12 minutes from start to finish. All 47 aliens were safe, but the aliens were not celebrating. They were staring at the humans with wide eyes. The room was completely quiet. Jake looked around. He had cut through impossible metal. Amy had saved aliens who were dying. Ben had punched through a wall that should have broken his hand. To the humans, they had just done what needed to be done. But to the aliens, they had just seen something that should not be possible. Elder Zifka floated down from the ceiling. His clear skin was now pale white. "How did you do that?" he whispered. "Do what?" Jake asked. "Cut through the barrier. Break the wall. No, the gas was poison before any warning sounded." Jake looked confused. "We just helped." That's what anyone would do. But looking at the faces around him, Jake realized that maybe humans were not like anyone else. The meeting ended. Very quickly after that, the aliens were polite but scared. They thanked the humans for saving them, but they seemed to want the humans to leave as soon as possible. As Jake, Amy, Ben, and Dr. Brooks walked back to their ship, they had no idea that they had just changed. The galaxy forever. "Do you think we did something wrong?" Amy asked. "We saved their lives," Jake said. "How could that be wrong?" He would find out soon enough. 3 weeks passed after the humans left the celestial harmony. On the water world called Aquatica Prime, Elder Zefka sat in the great council chamber. The room was filled with other Zephyrian leaders. They all looked worried. "Show the recording." Again, Elder Zefka said to his assistant. The big screen in the center of the room lit up. It showed the meeting room from 3 weeks ago. The Zephyrians watched as the emergency started. They saw the red lights, heard the alarms, and watched the poison gas fill the room. Then they saw Jake Morrison move toward the wall with a knife. "Here," said Elder Zefka. "Look at his eyes." On the screen, Jake's face was clear. His eyes changed just before the gravity failed. They got bigger and more focused. The alarm had not sounded yet, said Council Member Zephyrin. The computer had not announced the emergency. But the human knew something was wrong before anyone else. How is that possible? Asked another council member. Elder Zefka shook his head. I do not know, but look at what happens next. The recording continued. They watched Jake cut through the barrier like it was paper. They saw Amy help the choking aliens with quick, smart thinking. They watched Ben punch through solid metal. The wall was made of titanium steel composite, said Zephyrin. Our strongest engineers say it would take heavy machines to break through it. The human did it with his bare hands. And look at his injuries, said Elder Zefka. Small cuts on his knuckles. That is all. A normal being would have broken every bone in their hand. The council members looked at each other with fear in their eyes. On the crystal cities of Vorthek 7, the Harmonic Assembly was having their own meeting. The Vorthek were made of living crystal and communicated through beautiful sounds. But today, their songs were full of worry. The lead singer, Vorth Prime Harmony, played the recording of Ben Carter breaking the wall. The sound was analyzed by the best Vorthek scientists. The force needed to break that wall, sang Vorth Analysis 3, should have been impossible for a creature of his size. Our computers say he hit the wall with the power of a small vehicle. But he is not a machine, sang another Vorthek. He is made of flesh and bone like other organic beings. How can flesh be so strong? Vorth Prime Harmony's crystal body turned a dark red color. There is something wrong with our understanding of these humans. We need to learn more about their world. The Vorthek sent a message to the Korathi. The small lizard-like aliens were the best at gathering information in the galaxy. If anyone could find out the truth about humans, it would be the Korathi. On the underground world of Koroth Prime, Agent Sisk-27 received the message. He was one of the smartest Korathi in the intelligence network. His job was to study other species and find out if they were dangerous. Sisk-2-7 had been working day and night since the incident. He had collected every piece of information about humans that the galaxy had. Most of it came from radio signals that Earth had been sending into space, that the small Korathi sat in his underground office, surrounded by data screens. His assistant, Agent Kisk-51, brought him another report. Sir, said Kisk-51, we have finished analyzing the planet called Earth. What did you find? Asked Sisk-2-7. Kisk-51's big eyes looked frightened. Sir, we made a terrible mistake. We thought Earth was a normal planet. It is not normal at all. Sisk-2-7 looked at the data on his screen. What he saw made his blood turn cold. Earth's gravity is twice what we consider normal, Kisk-51 continued. Most species in the galaxy could not even stand up on that world. But humans live there easily. What else? Asked Sisk-2-7. The atmosphere contains 21% oxygen. That gas is poison to most of us, but humans breathe it all the time. The planet has violent weather that would kill entire cities of our people. Storms with winds that move faster than our aircraft. Waves of water taller than our buildings. Sisk-2-7 scrolled through more data. Look at this, he said. Earthquakes that shake the ground. Mountains that explode with fire and melted rock. Ice ages that cover half the planet. And the creatures that live there, said Kisk-51. Sir, Earth is full of predators. Animals with teeth as long as my arm. Creatures that weigh more than our vehicles. The humans share their world with monsters. But the worst was yet to come. Sisk-2-7 found files about human entertainment. They jump out of flying machines for fun, he said, his voice shaking. They go into the ocean where giant predators live. They climb the highest mountains where the air is too thin to breathe. They do these things because they enjoy danger. Kisk-51 brought up another file. Sir, look at their sports. They hit each other for entertainment. They race vehicles at deadly speeds. They compete to see who can lift the heaviest objects. And their military training, said Sisk-27. They carry equipment that weighs more than most of us. They run long distances while carrying these heavy loads. They train in environments that would be called extreme hazard zones. The two. Korathi sat in silence for a long time. Sir, said Kisk-51 quietly, what kind of world creates beings like this? A death world, said Sisk-27. The worst kind of death world. And we invited them to meet us. The news spread quickly through secret channels. Traders at space stations whispered about the humans from the death world. Ship captains changed their routes to stay far away from Earth's solar system. Even the bravest explorers refused to go. Near human space, on the trading post called Far Point Station, Captain Lisa White brought her cargo ship New Horizon to dock. Lisa was a human trader who had been working in space for 5 years. She had always been welcome at Far Point Station, but today was different. New Horizon, this is station control, came a nervous voice on the radio. You are not cleared to dock. Lisa looked confused. Station control, this is Captain White. I have docking permit 77 Alpha. I'm bringing medical supplies like always. Negative, New Horizon. No docking permitted. Lisa could see the station through her window. Security drones were flying around her ship. She could see aliens looking at her through the station windows, but they looked scared. Station control, what's the problem? I've been trading here for years. There was a long pause. Then the voice came back, shaking with fear. You are human. Humans are not welcome anymore. What? Why? Please leave the area immediately. Do not attempt to dock. Do not attempt to board the station. Lisa sat in her captain's chair, confused and hurt. She had friends on that station. She had helped them many times. Now they were treating her like a monster. She was not the only one. All across the galaxy, humans were being turned away from places they had visited before. Trade deals were canceled. Scientific exchanges were stopped. Cultural gifts were returned without being opened. On Earth, President Carol Johnson sat in her office reading report after report. Every human ship that left Earth was being turned away from alien space. Every message sent to alien governments was ignored. What happened out there? She asked General Frank Cooper, her military advisor. We don't know, Madam President, said the general. Our people on the Celestial Harmony say the meeting went well. They saved alien lives during an emergency. Everyone was grateful when they left. Then why won't anyone talk to us? Dr. Pete Collins, Earth's top expert on alien cultures, walked into the room. He looked worried and tired. Madam President, he said, I think I know what happened. We intercepted some alien communications. They're talking about us, but not in a good way. What are they saying? Dr. Collins put a data pad on the president's desk. They're calling us Death World monsters. They think we're the most dangerous species in the galaxy. President Johnson read the translations. Her face went pale. The aliens were afraid. They were so afraid that they were refusing to have any contact with humans at all. Words like predator and impossible and threat appeared over and over in the messages. They saw us help them, said General Cooper. How did helping them make us monsters? Dr. Collins sat down heavily in a chair. Because helping them was impossible. At least, it should have been impossible for any normal species. What our people did in that room scared them more than any weapon could. On distant worlds, alien children were hearing new bedtime stories. Stories about the humans from the Death World who could break through any barrier and survive any danger. The stories were meant to scare children into being good. The humans had no idea that their greatest act of heroism had made them the galaxy's greatest fear. 6 months had passed since the incident on the Celestial Harmony. The fear that started as whispers had grown into something much bigger. Across the galaxy, no one wanted to meet humans anymore. Captain Lisa White sat in her ship, the New Horizon, looking at another rejection message. This was the 15th space station that had refused to let her dock this month. Her cargo hold was full of medical supplies that aliens desperately needed, but no one would let her deliver them. "This is Nexus Point Station," came the voice over the radio. "Human vessel, you are not permitted to approach." Lisa had been trading with Nexus Point for 3 years. She knew the station administrator, a friendly Pelarian named Glix Vex. They had shared many meals together and talked about their families. "Nexus Point, this is Captain White. Is Glix Vex available? I need to speak with him." There was a long silence. Then a different voice came on the radio. It was Glix Vex, but he sounded scared. "Lisa, you must leave. Please, I cannot let you dock." "Glix, what's wrong? I have the medicine your people ordered. Your children need these supplies." "I know," said Glix Vex. His voice was shaking. "But the Council has given orders. No humans are allowed on any station." Lisa could see the station through her window. Security drones surrounded her ship. Behind the station's windows, she could see aliens watching her, but they were not waving hello like they used to. They looked frightened. "Glix, I don't understand. What did we do wrong?" "You are Deathworlders," said Glix Vex quietly. "The recordings from the Celestial Harmony have been seen by everyone. We know what you can do. What we can do, we helped people. We saved lives. You did things that should be impossible. You broke through barriers that our best engineers said could not be broken. You survived poison that would kill most of us. In seconds, you knew danger was coming before any warning was given." Lisa felt confused and hurt. "So we're being punished for helping?" "You are being feared for being too powerful," said Glix Vex. "Please leave, Lisa, for both our sakes." As security drones moved closer to our ship, Lisa had no choice but to turn around and fly away. As she left, she could see alien faces watching her from the station windows. Some looked sad, but most looked terrified. On the crystal world of Vortex 7, the Harmonic Assembly had made a decision that would change everything. Vorth Prime Harmony sang the announcement to the gathered crystal beings. "The human containment protocol has been approved," the crystal leader sang. "No ship may approach the system they call Sol." The other Vortex sang their agreement, but their songs were sad. They knew they were doing something that had never been done before in galactic history. They were putting an entire species in prison. "The Karathi have provided plans for automated defense stations," sang Vorth Analysis 3. "These stations will stop any ship trying to enter or leave human space." "What if the humans try to communicate?" sang another Vorthic. "All communication attempts will be blocked," sang Vorth Prime Harmony. "It is too dangerous to let them influence other species." The same conversation was happening on dozens of worlds. The Zephyrians, the Karathi, the Aquarians, and 8 other major species had all agreed. Humanity had to be contained. On Earth, Dr. Pete Collins worked late into the night in his laboratory. He had been trying for months to understand what was happening. Finally, he had managed to decode enough alien transmissions to piece together the truth. What he learned made him sick to his stomach. "They think we're monsters," he told his assistant, Dr. Janet Moore. "Not evil monsters, but something worse. They think we're so powerful that we'll accidentally destroy the galaxy." Dr. Moore looked at the translated messages on the computer screen. "Listen to this one," she said. "It's from a Karathi parent to their child. Be good, or the Deathworlders will come in the night. They can walk through walls and breathe poison air. They hunt in the dark between stars. They're telling their children scary stories about us," said Dr. Collins. We've become the monsters in alien bedtime stories. Dr. Moore found another message. This is from a Zephyrian scientist. The humans move too fast. They think too quickly. They can sense danger that our instruments cannot detect. They are evolution's perfect predator. Dr. Collins sat down and put his head in his hands. We tried to make friends. We saved their lives. And now they think we're going to eat the galaxy. The next morning, Dr. Collins took his findings to President Johnson. The meeting was held in the secure briefing room under the White House. Military leaders and scientists filled the room. The situation is worse than we thought, Dr. Collins said. He showed them the translated messages on a big screen. The aliens are not just avoiding us. They're actively trying to keep us trapped on Earth. General Cooper looked at the data. What do you mean, trapped? They're building something called the Soul Quarantine Protocol. Automated defense stations around our solar system. Any ship that tries to leave will be destroyed. The room went quiet. President Johnson leaned forward in her chair. They're building a prison around Earth? Yes, Madam President. They're so afraid of us that they would rather lock us up than talk to us. Admiral Susan Clark, the head of Earth's Space Forces, stood up. Our deep space scouts have reported strange objects appearing at the edge of the solar system. Large structures that weren't there last month. Those are the defense stations, said Dr. Collins. The aliens are working fast. President Johnson looked around the room at her advisors. Options? We could try to break through, said General Cooper. Our ships are fast and our crews are skilled. And prove that we're as dangerous as they think we are? Asked Dr. Collins. If we attack their stations, we'll confirm their worst fears. So what do we do? Asked the President. Sit here and let them build a cage around us? Dr. Collins had been thinking about this for weeks. We need to find a way to communicate, to show them that we're not the monsters they think we are. How? They're blocking all our messages. I don't know yet, but we have to try. While the humans were trying to figure out how to communicate, the aliens were building their prison. The defense stations were massive structures, each one the size of a small moon. They were equipped with weapons that could destroy entire fleets. The stations were not built to keep aliens out of human space. They were built to keep humans in. Commander Rick Davis stood on the bridge of the deep spaceship Explorer, looking at one of the alien stations through his telescope. The station was beautiful in a terrible way. It looked like a giant flower made of metal and crystal, but Rick knew it was full of weapons. How many of these things are they building? Asked his second officer, Lieutenant Carol Stone. Our scouts have found 12 so far, said Rick, but there are probably more. 12 stations to guard one solar system, said Carol. They really are afraid of us, Rick nodded. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Back on Earth, a new project was starting in secret. Dr. Nancy Ford, the world's top expert in space travel, had an idea that might work if we can't go through their barrier, she told her team. Maybe we can go around it. What do you mean? Asked Chief Engineer Alex Turner. The aliens use jump points to travel faster than light. They have to use specific routes through space. But what if we could travel without using their jump points? Alex looked at the equations on Dr. Ford's computer. You're talking about a completely new type of faster-than-light drive. Exactly. Something they've never seen before. Something they can't detect or stop. The project was given unlimited funding and the best scientists on Earth. They called it Project Breakthrough. But even as humans worked to escape their prison, the aliens were making sure the bars were strong enough to hold them. Fear had made the galaxy do something it had never done before, unite against one species. The humans had no idea that their simple act of heroism had created the greatest crisis in galactic history. They were about to learn that sometimes being too good at helping can be the most dangerous thing of all. 2 years after the quarantine began, both humans and aliens were getting desperate. The prison around Earth was complete, but the humans were not giving up. In the deep underground bunkers of the Galactic Council, Prime Coordinator Vel Thranks looked at the reports coming from the Sol system. The tall, insect-like alien leader was worried. The humans were not behaving like prisoners should. "Show me the latest readings," Vel Thranks said to his assistant. The big screen showed energy. Patterns coming from Earth's solar system. Strange lights and power signatures that the alien computers could not understand. "The humans are building something," said Defense Minister Kol Vash, a large creature covered in thick armor plates. "Our sensors detect massive construction projects." "On their homeworld? What kind of construction?" asked Vel Thranks. "Unknown. The energy patterns do not match any technology in our databases." Vel Thranks felt a chill run through his body. "Are they building weapons? We cannot tell. But whatever they are building, it is big." On Earth, Dr. Nancy Ford stood in the largest laboratory ever built. The underground facility was the size of a small city. Hundreds of scientists and engineers worked day and night on Project Breakthrough. "How are the tests going?" Dr. Ford asked Chief Engineer Alex Turner. Alex wiped sweat from his forehead. "Better than expected. The new drive system works, but there's something strange about it." "What do you mean, strange?" Alex led Dr. Ford to a small test ship. "Watch this," he said. He climbed into the pilot's seat and started the experimental faster-than-light engine. The ship disappeared. 2 seconds later, it reappeared exactly where it had been. "I jumped to the edge of the solar system and back," Alex said as he climbed. "Out. But here's the weird part. I didn't use any computers to navigate." Dr. Ford looked confused. "How did you know where to go?" "I just felt it. Like I could sense the right path through hyperspace." The alien computers need massive calculations to plot a safe jump, but humans can somehow feel our way through the dangerous areas. Dr. Ford stared at the test ship. "That should be impossible." "I know. But 6 other test pilots have done the same thing. We can navigate hyperspace using nothing but instinct." This discovery worried the aliens even more. Their automated monitoring stations detected impossible faster-than-light signatures coming from the Sol system. The humans were not just trapped. They were developing new technologies that broke the laws of physics. Admiral Keth Sorvix of the Zephyrian Defense Fleet received the urgent message while patrolling the edge of Zephyrian space. His ship, the Starlight Harmony, was one of the most advanced vessels in the galaxy. "Admiral," said his communications officer, "we have a problem." "What is it?" "A human ship has appeared at the edge of our territory. It's broadcasting a message asking for communication." Admiral Keth Sorvix felt his clear skin turn pale. "How did it get past the quarantine stations?" "Unknown, sir. It just appeared. Our sensors didn't detect it approaching." On the bridge's main screen, Admiral Keth Sorvix could see the human ship. It was small, probably carrying only a dozen crew members. But the fact that it was there at all was terrifying. The ship was called Discovery. Captain Tony Mitchell had volunteered for the most dangerous mission in human history, breaking through the alien quarantine to make contact. "This is Captain Mitchell of the Earthship Discovery," came the message. "We come in peace. We only want to talk." Admiral Keth Sorvix faced an impossible decision. If he let the humans communicate, they might influence other species with their strange abilities. If he attacked them, he would be firing on a peaceful ship that had done nothing wrong. "Send a message to Galactic Command," he told his communications. "Officer, tell them we have a situation." Within hours, 300 alien warships surrounded the small human vessel. It was the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. Ships from every major species came to deal with one small human crew, Captain Tony Mitchell looked out at the massive fleet surrounding his ship. His crew of 12 humans faced an armada that could destroy entire planets. "Captain," said his first officer, Lieutenant Karin Bell, "they're not answering our messages." "Keep trying," said Tony. "We came here to talk, not to fight." The standoff lasted 13 hours. The alien fleet commanders argued among themselves about what to do. Some wanted to destroy the human ship immediately. Others said it would be murder to attack a peaceful vessel. While the aliens debated, something unexpected happened. A solar flare from the nearby star sent out a wave of radiation. The radiation interfered with the alien ship's communications and damaged several vessels. One small Zephyrian escape pod was caught in the radiation storm with a failing life support system. Inside the pod was Zephlin, a young Zephyrian officer who had never seen a human before. Her pod was spinning out of control, and her air was running out. "This is Escape Pod 7, she called on her emergency radio. "Life support failing, need immediate assistance." The radiation storm made it impossible for the alien ships to launch a rescue mission safely. Their equipment could not function in the dangerous energy field, but the human ship could. "Captain," said Dr. Samantha Lewis, the Discovery's medical officer, "I can reach that pod." Tony looked at the readings on his screen. The radiation levels would kill most aliens in minutes. "Sam, it's too dangerous." "Not for us," Dr. Lewis said. "We're from a death world, remember? A little radiation won't stop us." Dr. Lewis put on a spacesuit and left the Discovery in a small rescue craft. The alien fleet watched in amazement as she flew directly into the radiation storm that their own ships could not enter. She found Zephlin's pod spinning helplessly in space. The young Zephyrian was unconscious and barely breathing. Dr. Lewis attached her rescue craft to the damaged pod and pulled it back to the Discovery. She worked for 2 hours to save Zephlin's life, using medical techniques that the aliens had never seen before. When Zephlin woke up, she was in the Discovery's medical bay. Dr. Lewis was taking care of her injuries with gentle, careful hands. "Where?" "Am I?" Zephlin asked weakly. "You're safe," said Dr. Lewis. "You're on a human ship." Zepflin's skin turned white with fear. She had heard the stories about humans. She expected to be tortured or experimented on. Instead, Dr. Lewis brought her food and water. She made sure Zephlin was comfortable and answered all her questions with patience and kindness. "Why did you save me?" Zephlin asked. "Your people and my people are enemies." Dr. Lewis looked confused. "Enemies? We're not enemies. We've never fought a war with your people, but you are Deathworlders. You are dangerous." "Dangerous?" Dr. Lewis sat down next to Zepflin's bed. "We're explorers and scientists. We came here to make friends." For the first time in 2 years, a human and an alien had a real conversation. Zephlin asked questions about Earth and human culture. Dr. Lewis told her about human art, music, and philosophy. "Your people make beautiful music," said Dr. Lewis. "We heard recordings of Zephyrian songs. They made many humans cry with joy." Zephlin was surprised. "You listen to our music?" "Of course." "We find your culture fascinating. We hope to learn from you." As they talked, Zephlin began to understand something important. The humans were not monsters. They were just very different from other species. Their strength and abilities came with something equally powerful: compassion. "Dr. Lewis," said Zephlin, "I need to tell the fleet commander something. Will you help me send a message?" Dr. Lewis nodded. "Of course." The message that Zephlin sent to Admiral Kethsorvix changed everything. The humans are not what we thought. They were. Yes, they are powerful beyond our understanding. But they use that power to help others, not to hurt them. We have been wrong about them. Admiral Kethsorvix read the message 3 times. A Zephyrian officer was telling him that humans could be trusted. But 2 years of fear were hard to overcome. The Admiral made a careful decision. He would allow limited communication between Zephlin and the human ship, but the fleet would remain ready to attack if necessary. It was a small step, but it was the first step toward understanding. On the Discovery, Captain Tony Mitchell felt hope for the first time in months. One alien was willing to listen. Maybe others would too, but he knew that earning the trust of an entire galaxy would take much more than saving one life. The humans would have to prove over and over again that their incredible abilities came with incredible restraint. The hardest part of being the strongest species in the galaxy was learning to be gentle enough that others would not fear them. The conversation between Dr. Samantha Lewis and Zephlin lasted for 3 days. During that time, the massive alien fleet waited and watched. Some ship commanders wanted to attack immediately. Others were curious about what the two were discussing. Admiral Keth Sorvix found himself in the strangest situation of his military career. He was protecting a human ship from other alien vessels while trying to decide if humans were friends or enemies. "Admiral," said his communications officer, Zephlin, "is requesting permission to visit the human ship's bridge." "Absolutely not," said Admiral Keth Sorvix. "It's too dangerous." "Sir, she says the humans have something important to show us, something that will change how we see them." Admiral Keth Sorvix thought for a long moment. Zephlin was a smart officer. If she thought something was important, maybe he should listen. "Very well, but I want a full security team monitoring everything." On the Discovery, Captain Tony Mitchell welcomed Zephlin to the bridge. The young Zephyrian looked around with wide eyes. She had expected to see weapons and war machines. Instead, she saw scientific equipment and star charts. "This is our navigation system," said Tony, showing her a complex computer display. "We use it to explore new worlds and discover new forms of life." "And this?" asked Zephlin, pointing to another machine. "Medical scanner. We use it to study alien biology so we can better help other species when they're sick or injured." Zephlin realized something important. The human ship was not built for war. It was built for exploration and research. These were not soldiers. They were scientists. "Captain Mitchell," she said, "may I send another message to my fleet?" "Of course." The message that Zephlin sent shocked the alien commanders. "I have seen the human ship. It carries no weapons. Their computers are full of art, music, and scientific research about our species. They have been studying us not to find our weaknesses, but to understand our cultures. They want to be our friends." Admiral Keth Sorvix read the message to his senior officers. The bridge of the Starlight Harmony was quiet for a long time. "Could she be wrong?" asked his first officer. "Zephlin is one of our best analysts," said the Admiral. "If she says the humans are peaceful, I believe her. But what about their abilities? What about the recordings from the Celestial Harmony?" "Admiral." Keth Sorvix had been thinking about this for days. "What if we have been looking at this wrong? What if their strength is not meant for war, but for protection?" The breakthrough came when Zephlin asked Dr. Lewis a simple question. "Why do humans risk their lives to help strangers?" Dr. Lewis thought for a moment. "Because that's what people do. When someone is in trouble, you help them. It doesn't matter if they're human or alien. It doesn't matter if they're friend or enemy. If someone needs help, you give it, even if helping them puts you in danger." "Especially then," said Dr. Lewis. "The more dangerous it is to help someone, the more important it is to try." Zephlin felt something change in her understanding. Humans were not monsters. They were the opposite of monsters. They were heroes who could not stop themselves from helping others, even when it was impossible. She sent one final message to Admiral Keth Sorvix. "Request permission to return to the fleet." I have important information that all commanders need to hear. When Zephlin returned to the Starlight Harmony, she met with all the fleet commanders using holographic communication. Representatives from every species listened to her report. The humans are not our enemies, she said. They are not even predators in the way we understand the term. They are protectors. Their entire culture is built around the idea of helping others. But their abilities, said a Karathi commander. They can do impossible things. Yes, said Zephlin. And they use those abilities to save lives. Always to save lives. Never to take them. Commander Vorth Battle Song of the Vorthic Fleet sang a question. How can we trust beings who are so much stronger than us? Zephlin had an answer that surprised everyone. Because they choose to be gentle. Every day, humans choose not to use their full strength. They hold back because they know they could hurt someone by accident. That is not the behavior of monsters. That is the behavior of heroes. The meeting that followed lasted for 18 hours. Fleet commanders argued back and forth about what to do. Some still wanted to attack the human ship. Others began to think that maybe, just maybe, they had made a mistake. Finally, Admiral Kethsorvix made a decision that would change galactic history. I am going to meet with the humans face to face, he announced. The other commanders were shocked. Admiral, that's too dangerous, said the Karathi representative. If they wanted to hurt me, they could have killed Zephlin instead of saving her, said Admiral Kethsorvix. I think it's time we stopped being afraid and started listening. The meeting took place on a neutral ship, with security teams from both sides watching carefully. Admiral Kethsorvix, Zephlin, and 2 other alien officers met with Captain Tony Mitchell, Dr. Samantha Lewis, and Ambassador Kate Morgan, who had been specially trained for first contact situations. Ambassador. Kate Morgan had learned important lessons from the original incident. She moved slowly and spoke softly. She was careful not to make any sudden movements that might seem threatening. Admiral, she said, we want you to know that we understand why you have been afraid of us. We did not realize how our actions would. Look to other species. Admiral Kethsorvix studied the human woman carefully. She was smaller than he had expected, and her movements were controlled and peaceful. Your people broke through our strongest barriers, like they were made of paper, he said. We did what we had to do to save lives, said Captain Mitchell. We would do it again if people were in danger. That is what frightens us, said Admiral. Kethsorvix, you have abilities that seem impossible. How do we know you will not use them against us? Ambassador Morgan leaned forward slightly. Admiral, may I ask you something? In your military career, how many times have you chosen not to fire your weapons? The Admiral looked confused by the question. Many times. We only use weapons when absolutely necessary. That is exactly how humans think about our abilities, said Ambassador Morgan. We are strong, yes, but we choose every day not to use that strength to hurt others. We use it only to help and protect. Dr. Lewis added, on our world, we have a saying, with great power comes great responsibility. The stronger you are, the more careful you must be. The aliens exchanged glances. This was not what they had expected to hear. What do you want from you? Asked Admiral Kethsorvix. Friendship, said Captain Mitchell simply. We want to learn from you. We want to share knowledge and culture. We want to explore the galaxy together. And if we refuse? Asked the Admiral. Ambassador Morgan smiled. Sadly. Then we will respect your choice. We will not force friendship on anyone. But we hope that someday you will see that we are not monsters. The meeting lasted for 6 hours. Slowly, carefully, the humans explained their culture and their values. They showed the aliens recordings of human art, music, and literature. They talked about human history, both the good parts and the bad parts. Most importantly, they showed restraint. Every movement was careful. Every word was chosen to avoid causing fear. The aliens began to see that humans were actively trying not to be threatening. When the meeting ended, Admiral Keth Sorvix had a decision to make. He could order his fleet to attack, or he could take the biggest risk of his career. He chose to trust. "Captain Mitchell," he said, "I am going to recommend to the Galactic Council that we begin limited contact with your people." The process that followed was slow and careful. It took 2 more years to establish what became known as the Human Integration Protocol. Humans were allowed limited access to galactic society, but with strict guidelines. Human ships could only travel to certain areas of the galaxy. Human crews had to include alien observers. Most importantly, humans had to prove over and over again that they could control their abilities. The breakthrough came when humans volunteered for the most dangerous jobs in the galaxy. When natural disasters struck alien worlds, human rescue teams were the first to volunteer. When ships were trapped in dangerous areas of space, human pilots flew the rescue missions. Captain Lisa White, who had been turned away from so many stations, became the galaxy's most requested emergency pilot. Her ship, the New Horizon, saved thousands of alien lives in situations that would have been impossible for other species. Jake Morrison, the captain who had started everything with one act of heroism, became the first human ambassador to the Galactic Council. He worked tirelessly to show that humans could be trusted. Amy Rodriguez and Ben Carter became instructors, teaching aliens about human capabilities while learning about alien cultures. In return, Dr. Helen Brooks established the first interspecies research facility where humans and aliens worked together to solve problems that neither could handle alone. 5 years after the original incident, a memorial was built at Nexus Point Station. It honored the 47 aliens who had been saved during the emergency on the Celestial Harmony. The memorial also honored the beginning of true understanding between species. Inscription on the memorial was written in 17 different alien languages. It read, "In memory of first contact, when monsters proved to be heroes and heroes learned to be gentle." Captain Jake Morrison stood before the memorial on the Anive.